A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens is a novel set during the turbulent times of the French Revolution, exploring themes of sacrifice, justice, and the stark differences between social classes. The story revolves around two cities, London and Paris, and the fates of several key characters whose lives are deeply intertwined by the revolution and personal trials. Here's a simple summary. Book overview. The novel begins with the famous line, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times," setting the stage for the contrast between the two cities and the stark social inequality of the time. England is relatively calm, but France is on the brink of revolution, where the people suffer from oppression, hunger, and extreme poverty. Main characters. Dr. Alexander Manet, a French physician who was unjustly imprisoned in the Bastille for 18 years. He becomes a central figure as his personal history reflects the injustices of the French aristocracy. Lucy Manet, Dr. Manet's daughter, who is loving, compassionate, and devoted to her father. She is a symbol of goodness and gentleness in the story. Charles Darnay, a French aristocrat who renounces his family's cruel ways and moves to England. He marries Lucy and becomes deeply entangled in the revolution. Sidney Carton, a talented but disillusioned lawyer who leads a wasted life. Though he loves Lucy, he believes himself unworthy of her. Carton's eventual redemption through sacrifice is one of the key emotional elements of the novel. Monsieur Defarge and Madame Defarge. The Defarges are revolutionaries who run a wine shop in Paris. Madame Defarge is particularly vengeful, knitting the names of aristocrats who were marked for death during the Revolution. Plot summary. Book 1. Recalled to life. The novel opens in 1775 with Jarvis Lorry, an English banker, traveling to Paris. He is on a mission to recall to life Dr. Manet, who has been released from the Bastille after 18 years of wrongful imprisonment. Lorry takes Lucy with him to Paris, where they find Dr. Manet in a fragile mental state, still haunted by his long imprisonment. He has become obsessed with making shoes, a skill he learned to cope with his isolation. Through Lucy's loving care, Dr. Manet gradually recovers, and they return to England to start a new life together. Book 2. The Golden Thread. 5 years later, Charles Darnay is on trial in England, accused of being a spy for France. His lawyer, Mr. Stryver, defends him, but it is Sidney Carton who saves Darnay by pointing out the strong physical resemblance between himself and Darnay, making it impossible to prove the charges. Darnay is acquitted. Darnay, Carton, and Lucy become friends, although Carton remains cynical about life. He confesses his love for Lucy but tells her he is unworthy of her. Carton's love for her becomes the central driving force behind his character arc. Darnay and Lucy eventually fall in love and marry, starting a peaceful family life. However, Darnay keeps a secret from Lucy, his true identity as a member of the Evrémonde family, notorious French aristocrats who have caused suffering and injustice. His uncle, the Marquis Saint-Evrémonde, represents the cruelty of the aristocracy. After Darnay refuses to inherit his family's estate, his uncle is murdered by revolutionaries in France. Book 3. The Track of a Storm. In France, the revolution escalates, with the fall of the Bastille marking the beginning of the Reign of Terror. The peasants, led by people like the Defarges, rise against the aristocracy, sending thousands to the guillotine. Charles Darnay, despite his attempts to distance himself from his family's oppressive past, is drawn back to France. He travels to Paris to help a former servant who is in trouble but is soon arrested as an enemy of the revolution because of his aristocratic lineage. Lucy and Dr. Manet follow Darnay to France, hoping that Dr. Manet's past imprisonment will earn Darnay some favor with the revolutionaries. Dr. Manet, once revered as a hero by the revolutionaries, initially succeeds in securing Darnay's release. However, Madame Defarge, who harbors a personal vendetta against the Evrémonde family for the suffering they caused her family, ensures that Darnay is rearrested and sentenced to death. The final sacrifice. In the midst of this turmoil, Sidney Carton emerges as the unlikely hero of the story. Carton, who has always seen himself as a failure, decides to make the ultimate sacrifice for Lucy's happiness. He realizes that his physical resemblance to Darnay provides him with an opportunity to take Darnay's place. Carton arranges to secretly switch places with Darnay the night before his execution. He smuggles Darnay out of prison, ensuring that Lucy, her father, and their family escape France safely. Carton faces the guillotine with a sense of peace and purpose, knowing that he is dying for the woman he loves. His final words, "It is a far, far better thing that I do than I have ever done," reflect his belief that this act of self-sacrifice gives his life meaning and redemption. Themes. Sacrifice. One of the novel's central themes is the idea of personal sacrifice for the greater good. Carton's sacrifice to save Darnay represents the nobility of giving oneself for others. Resurrection. The idea of being recalled to life recurs throughout the novel. Dr. Manet's release from prison, Darnay's multiple escapes from death, and Carton's spiritual resurrection through his sacrifice all embody this theme. Revolution and justice. Dickens portrays the French Revolution as both a justified response to aristocratic oppression and a violent, uncontrollable force. The novel examines the extremes of both justice and revenge, particularly through the actions of Madame Defarge, who seeks to destroy anyone associated with the aristocracy. Duality. The contrast between London and Paris, peace and chaos, love and hate, selflessness and selfishness, permeates the novel. This duality is symbolized most vividly in the characters of Darnay and Carton, who look alike but lead very different lives. Conclusion. A Tale of Two Cities is a story of contrasts, heroism, and the power of redemption. Through the lives of its characters, Dickens explores the complexities of justice, the personal cost of sacrifice, and the cyclical nature of history. Sidney Carton's transformation from a disillusioned lawyer to a selfless hero gives the novel its emotional depth, while the backdrop of the French Revolution adds a powerful commentary on societal change and the consequences of unchecked inequality.